I just returned from a vacation, and the vacation was to not a third world country, actually a fairly nice little island off of the Caribbean coast of the United States, East Coast, called Turks and Caicos. The car rental experience there was interesting. In fact, the whole driving around Turks and Caicos in a rent-a-car by Hertz was interesting. You go on the Hertz website, and I upgraded for $10 more to a Toyota Camry. And when I got there were no Toyota Camrys available, but was available this wonderful Datsun Go. And it's interesting. The car did everything it had to do. Got us from point A to point B. But what was really interesting is I didn't even know the Datsun name was still out there. So I did a little web research on the Datsun Go. Turns out the Datsun Go was developed for India. It sells new for about $6,000, which just blew me away that you could make a car today and sell it and make money at $6,000. Now the Datsun Go is a bit of a throwback to my youth. In my youth, I had a 65 Beetle with a 1200cc engine. The Datsun Go has a 1200cc engine, although only 3 cylinders, and about 70 horsepower. Now, the car of my youth only had about 40 horsepower, so it goes to show you what technology has done. The Datsun Go had air conditioning and an automatic transmission. I could assure you my 65 Beetle had neither. In fact, I was lucky I had hydraulic brakes versus wire brakes. Any of you Beetle aficionados out there, you know what I'm talking about. I did have a 6-volt system. But the Datsun Go was remarkably, my wife, daughter, and I, as well as some luggage, got around the island just fine. And I was thinking this was made for a third world country, and so I guess they can't afford to be buying $50,000 Volvos, but I thought about how Turks and Caicos, the last thing you would think about is this is a third world country. And I reflected, granted, you can't buy booze on Sunday, and that could be an issue for some people. Under the hood, this little 3-cylinder engine, when I popped the hood and I saw it had 3 intake valves, I was thinking, gee, where's the 4th? And so I was pretty impressed that they could get 70 horsepower out of a 3-cylinder engine. Now, it's a bit different than my car at home. For those of you who know me know I'm very impressed with my Volvo Recharge. My Volvo has a 4-cylinder engine up front, although it's turbocharged, and a 150 horsepower EV motor in the back and a nice battery. And when I am in full blast, pedal to the metal mode, I got 450 horses working for me, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Granted, my Datsun Go couldn't do that, but it really didn't need to do that either. This car is quite green in that it gets 40 miles of EV range. Okay, its engine, just as impressive looking, tops down. Granted, it doesn't have the 150 horsepower EV plant in the back, the big battery, the turbocharge, and a few other accoutrements in the cabin that my Volvo had. Although this is probably a good 7-8 times more expensive than the Datsun Go. I guess the other thing I reflected on a few years ago, I had a Volvo and a tractor trailer rear-ended me and sent me into a guardrail, and I walked away from that without a scratch. And I thought to myself, if that happened to me in the Datsun Go, it might be a different story. But it did reflect on the price differences of cars between America or Europe even, and a place not exactly a third world country. And maybe in Turks and Caicos you can't get one for $7,000, maybe they're 20 grand there, but it goes to show you supply, demand, maybe what cars really cost, really what they should cost. Got me reflecting on 4 wheels that comfortably, air conditioning, get you from point A to point B. What should it really cost? The only other observation is Turks and Caicos is still a British colony. So of course they drive on the wrong side of the road, which is challenging. I did that years ago, but I was able to, like a bicycle, remember to stay left and that sort of thing. But other than that, I reflected that, wow, in this country, what we pay for cars and maybe what cars are really worth, here it is, Turks Caicos, maybe a 3-hour flight into the Atlantic Ocean. And a car that's $8,000 could kind of perform getting you from point A to point B. Interesting.